Welcome to Career Journeys, where we tell stories that inspire through interviews with many wonderful, amazing professionals. Today, I have with me on the program an amazing lady. Her name is Olubukola Oragbade. Um, Welcome, Buki,
Thank
to the
you.
show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's a delight to have you. I am so excited about the conversation we are going to be having today. But before we jump in, let me read a little something from um, Olubukola Oragbade's LinkedIn profile, and then I'll have her introduce herself more properly.
Okay.
So it says here, Olubukola Oragbade, SHRM-CP, HR professional, talent management, analytics, program development. And I know that you are also the founder of Abroad Moms Tribe. Wow, I can't wait to hear about all these things and what they mean. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience,
Thank
please.
you. Thank you. So it's SH, what you pronounce RM. It means the Society of Human Resource Management. And so I'm a
Ah,
member of the Society of Human Resource Management. I'm an HR professional working. I work with data. I work on projects in the HR space, and I've worked in HR for a long while now. In 2015, that was when I moved to the United States with my family. And like most people that immigrate with their family, most times the dependents don't have the right to work. So I didn't have the right to work. And I found myself on a career break. So I also call myself a career break advocate. So I should add that to my LinkedIn profile too.
oh, wow, that is so powerful. And we're going to talk about that, about your career break, how you handled it, if it was a time of rest, if there were frustrations that came with it, if it was a time to coast along and just enjoy yourself, or and how maybe that break influenced what you are doing right now. I know that you started something called Abroad Moms
Mom, child.
Tribe,
Mhm.
Abroad Mom Tribe,
Yes.
and what you do there kind of ties in with career breaks and
Mhm.
women who are going through career breaks and what have you. Can you tell us a little bit more, shed some light on maybe what even led you to start it and what you are hoping to do with it, with that
Mhm.
vision?
I have this career break stories. I have lots of stories, and I find myself meeting people along the way, sharing the stories, encouraging them. And I just thought, okay, why not create a platform where I can, encourage women in general. Um,
Mm,
then I started talking about seasons of life because I see a career break as a season in life. It's not forever. It's a break in your career, not a break in your life. So I just started encouraging women about career break. Then I took it a step further to actually start sharing my stories about, when I was on my career break, when I got back into the workforce after my career break. Because I've actually been on two career breaks since I've been in the United States 8 years now. And they all have different stories and, different ways of how I go back into the workforce, just to encourage women, mothers, to let them know, it's gonna be okay. Mhm.
wow. Oh wow, thank you so much for using your experience to be a blessing
Mhm.
and thinking of how you can use your experience to encourage other women who may be going through career
Yeah.
breaks or who may be coming out of a career break. Please tell me, how long is considered a career break? I mean, because I know that women throughout their our working careers, we
Yeah.
take breaks to go have babies, we take, maybe you feel something happens, you need to recover your health or what have
Yeah.
you. But
Mhm.
what do you consider a career break in the sense that we're talking about here? How long does this break need to be before it's considered a career break?
I'll say depends on the individuals because there are actually voluntary and involuntary career breaks. For example, if you're laid off at work, it becomes a career break, and that's not your
Mm.
choice. It's not what you really wanted to do, and it could take a while sometimes to get back into the workforce. And career break sometimes is due you have to raise your children. Like when I first came in 2015, I was pregnant, so the first year I was more or less on a maternity leave. After that, I couldn't get back into work because I couldn't, I was dependent of my husband and I wasn't able to work based on the visa I came with. And sometimes people want to take care of a loved one that is sick, so it all depends on the
Yeah.
situation. But in my experience, I've seen career break as long as 10 years,
Oh
15
wow.
years, 20 years, and they decided to come back into the workforce, and they were successful at it.
Oh
Mhm.
wow. So you are saying it's possible to
Yeah,
come back
it's
and
possible.
recover a
Yeah,
career that's been on break for about 10 years.
yeah, it's possible. It's
Oh, that is so encouraging. That's so encouraging. I'm sure a lot of people watching this live or on demand will find that quite encouraging. Now, when you were going through your career break, from your personal experience, what were some of the things that caused frustration for you, if any? And are there certain stigmas that you found to be associated with, women who are on career breaks for one reason or the other?
Mhm. My peculiar situation, it's I guess for me, because I've worked all my adult life, so getting to a place where I couldn't work was kind of frustrating for me. And there was always this thought of me feeling I was behind. I hear my friends telling stories of how they got promoted, how they got into a new role, and I'm just there. So it was quite frustrating for me, thinking, I thought I was behind, so I had to start working on my mind that, look,
Yeah.
what you're doing now has value. You're not behind, because
Mhm.
whose clock am I using to work anyway? So those were the one of the things that was frustrating to me, and I had to start working on it. And I would say in some homes, two income is better than one. So,
In all homes.
depends on homes. So I wanted that, second income into the home so that, we could do some things that we couldn't do at that time, because being on a career break with one income, you have to know how to budget, reduce expenses, look at your fixed income, your variable income, and work on those things so it can balance out properly. But having two incomes, that was that was one of the things that I actually wanted to at that time. So I'll say those were the main two things that were frustrating to me.
Mm. Oh
Mhm.
wow.
Yeah,
So you had this career break. So you've had two
yeah.
career breaks here since you moved to the US. So you had this first career break and then you found a way back into the workforce.
Mhm.
How was that like? What you talked about changing your mindset to handle
Yeah,
when you had to be on a break.
yeah.
Did you have to go through some other mindset changes to be able to get back or to even find a way back? So, what was it like for you? What changed in you? What changed in your mind? And maybe what were some of the things that helped you
Yeah.
to make that transition?
Mhm. First of all, me having always thinking I was behind, I had to deal with that, because the thought of thinking you are behind, I wasn't even present to live and enjoy the
Yeah.
career break I was in. Because if you look at it, all my life I'd worked. I wasn't able
Mhm.
to attend a lot of things in my kids' school, because when I lived in the UK, I was working and schooling at the same time. So I couldn't attend, programs, concerts. I wasn't able to attend those
Mhm.
things. But when I moved to the US, I was able to attend that. But I didn't see, initially, I didn't see that, look, you have another chance to enjoy these things that you missed out on. And I
Mhm.
just had a baby. The stage I had the baby, I missed out on that stage in my other kids because I was at work. So it was as if I had an opportunity to, start all over again, to see all these things. So I had to renew my mind, first of all, to be present, to, as they say, to be where your feet are.
Yeah.
So when I became present, I started to notice The people around me, the things around me. I started to, when I take my kids to school, I say hello to this mother, say hello to this person, and I started to make friends. So that was how one of my friends sent me an email, and she was like, "Oh, look, was the multicultural committee is looking for an additional member. Are you interested in joining?" Initially, I was like, "No, I'm not interested." My husband was like, "Give it a go, give it a try. You might just like it." So that was when I joined the multicultural committee, and we started working on projects for the schools, projects for, on the diversity of the school. And that's how I started gaining project management skills. At that time, I didn't know it was project management skills. So when it was almost time for me to get back into workforce, I was talking to a friend, and I was like, "Oh, I'm about to go back to the workplace, and I don't have experience." And she was like, "What do you mean you don't have experience? What have you been doing, at the kids' school? What have you been doing in church?" She was like, "All these things are skills that are transferable to the workforce." And I was like, "Oh, serious?" That's, it now dawned on me that those things are actually transferable. So I started to document them, put them together in my resume, and some upskilling I did, because when you leave the workforce, before you get back, obviously things would have changed
That
technology wise.
changed.
Yeah, Microsoft, Power BI, a lot of new things, people, technologies used out there now. So I upskilled, and together, that's how I got my first role after my career break. Mhm.
Wow. Can you take a moment to speak to somebody who may watch this and encourage them, specifically along those lines, on how to look around and recognize opportunities and opportunities that may help them develop skills, just like you did,
Yeah,
that they can then put on their resume when they're
yeah.
ready to
Hmm.
go back to work. And while you're answering that, while you're doing that, could you maybe give examples of some skills that women may be picking up that they don't even recognize could be transferable to the
Yeah.
marketplace?
Hmm. Hmm. So if you're on a career break right now, there are lots of opportunities around you. First of all, um, your kids' school, PTA. You can join your kids' school. You can join the PTA. A number of projects are happening in the PTA all the time.
Hmm.
So over there, you can develop your project management skills. Also, church, if you belong to a religious organization, you can volunteer there. Things are happening in a religious organization. You can gain human resource skills, HR skills, because things like head counts, they want to know how many people came to church, how many people left the church, voluntary termination, involuntary termination. So you can even join the finance department. If you have financial
Yeah.
skill, you can join. So debit, credit. So those are places you can get all those skills. I noticed something, when you hear big words scare us. Like now when we hear data, we hear data exploration, we hear data cleaning, we're scared of big words like that. But I was thinking about it recently that as a mother, I'm handling data on a day-to-day basis. Okay. I know when I'm supposed to order milk in the house, how many I should order. I know the last time I bought bagels, I know I shouldn't buy bagels again. We don't need that. So I'm removing that from the spreadsheet.
Mm-hmm.
We're working with these things in our mind. And in a way, it's the same in the workplace, just that we're going to start working with spreadsheets, and all those fancy tools. But these skills are transferable as long as we're willing to learn. We're teachable. We'll be able to transfer the skills back into the workplace. Hmm.
Wow. So you took a break, you
Yeah,
were in HR, you were ready to go back and you upskilled. How did you deal with the intimidation of, that could come with all these big words? Because the big words,
yeah,
I'm sure the big words you were now hearing were different from the big words you heard before
yeah.
you left the
Hmm.
workplace.
Hmm.
And I know that, even going on LinkedIn and seeing what people are doing and all
Yeah.
the big things they are doing can create a level of intimidation, right? I was talking, my daughter was talking to me recently, and she was talking about the fact that she doesn't like LinkedIn because, and what she was saying, I got it that she was trying to say it's
I
intimidating, right?
know.
And I didn't tell her that it's fun, or it's not just because it's not for, it's for all of us,
Yeah.
right? We're hearing these big words, and then we need to, it creates a certain, at least for me,
Yeah.
it can be intimidating. And here you are, you're trying to get back into the workplace, get back into some spaces, upskill. How did you deal with that? You know.
First of all, I haven't completely dealt with it, as you said. As you said. So sometimes I still find things that are intimidating. But when I first started my role after my career break, I used to have a booklet, after when the meeting is going on, someone says something, I just, scribble it down. So I had a lot of scribbles. So after the meeting, I'll just go to Google, type it in. What does this mean? What
Mm,
does that mean? Because Google University is there to help everyone. Then I started asking questions, how can I do this? How can I do that? But sincerely, in the beginning, going to work every day, I still used to have that feeling I don't belong here. How did I get here? That's, imposter feeling. But with time, it started wearing off. But I spent about 6 months there before my husband's job moved him again, and I started another career break. I started another career break. This time, the pandemic and everything added to it. So I started looking again. But within that 1 year of the second career break, that was when I registered for the Society of Human Resource Management. I wrote the exam. I passed the certification. I did a number of data visualization tools, Tableau. I did the exam too. So I just started working on upskilling, and
mm,
I got a role, but the role was not really something that I wanted. It wasn't what I wanted, but um there's something I normally say is do what your hand finds to do until your heart finds what it wants to do. So I just took the role. It was a role as a human resource generalist, because I wasn't a generalist, I was kind of like a specialist. But I took the role with a lower pay just to get my feet into the door, and when I started the role, when I'm supposed to prepare a report for my stakeholders, I add a graph to the report and I tell a story with a graph, which people don't
mm,
normally do. That's not, and my manager reached out to me. Oh, we have a role as an HR analyst. Do you want to, move to that role? And just that value, extra value, I used to provide, kind of helped me to,
yeah.
progress in that role. So I moved to becoming an HR analyst, and I worked with them a while before I moved on to other roles. So I would say do what your hands find to do until your heart finds what it wants to do. But in those days, I never heard of I never knew there were returnship programs. Returnship is like an internship, but it's for people that are trying to
Mm.
get back into the workforce.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, so there's a
Please tell us
particular
about them.
yeah, there's a particular vendor that I've worked with. It's called iRelaunch. So they have a website where relaunchers put their CV in. They run programs for people that are trying to get back into the workforce, and they work with organizations to help women or men come back into the workforce. A lot of big companies have returnship program. Amazon, Oracle, Goldman Sachs, Amdocs, Google, you name it. A lot of them have returnship programs. So it's a career break is a thing. It's not something that we should hide from anymore. We all know that people have gaps in their resume, and every company who wants to be in the forefront should know that we don't mind these gaps. These people with career gaps, they have skills, they have abilities, but because they went on a career break doesn't mean that, they don't have any skills. So I'll say someone on a career break, register with a vendor, I relaunch, and there are returnship programs everywhere. Every company has a returnship program. Mhm.
Wow, that's very, very encouraging. And yours is a very inspiring story. And again, I know I said this earlier. Again, thank you for using your experience to empower other people and encourage other people. Now, when you were on this career break, did you ever, were you ever tempted or, yeah, did you ever think of maybe leaving HR, trying some other fields, or were you always sure that it's HR, no matter what, it's a break, at some point I'll go back and it's still going to be HR, so did you consider other things
Oh yes.
there or? Mm.
I actually considered nursing. For me, and I will say there's a career break is actually a time to explore, because there's
Yeah.
really no rule about it that you can change your careers if you want to. It's a time for
Mm,
you to reassess your priorities.
yeah.
To think about, okay, these are the skills I have. What do I want to do? During my career break, I started writing. I didn't know I
Mm,
had writing skills. I actually authored a book while on my career break. But I
mm,
never had that time to write. So it's a time for exploring. So I started to explore. There was a college close to my school. I'm like, so I started taking credits. So I said, okay, I want to be a nurse. So I started taking credits. Then halfway, I was like, no, I don't think this is what I wanted. I want to do. Oh, so I started trying out.
so what happened? Did you see blood before?
No, I didn't. I was still doing the basics, but I was having fun. I think for me it's I was being present. I was,
Mm,
having fun while I was doing it. I was going to school, drop the kids at school, then I'll go to school also. So it was something for me to do. And as I say, there's no knowledge lost,
mm,
So then I now consider data analytics. I started learning things like SQL, data visualization tools, project management experience, and so it's some people go on career breaks and decide to do something else completely. Some decide to go the entrepreneur route,
mm.
but there's really no you don't really have to go back to the
The same thing you
same
left.
thing you
Yeah.
were
So
doing.
was it hard for you to start looking at, the technical side of things and doing things like the SQL and, data analytics? Was it a hard
At the
transition?
beginning, it was. At the beginning,
Mm.
it was. But with time, and when I started applying it in the workplace, I was like, oh, so this is what,
Wow.
this was all about. So that's when I started, picking the different things. But at the end of the day, the application helped me. So all the practice was good, but the application really helped me
Mm.
to know what I've been practicing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what helped you to, um, you know, you were an HR person, you had been for many years, and then you started upskilling with
Mhm.
this tools and this technical knowledge. What were the things, which is,
Yeah.
quite a change, even though now in the workplace
Yeah.
you use data for everything,
Mhm.
data applies in every field. But what were some of the things that helped you to make that switch or to, condition yourself in such a way that you could pick up those new, maybe more
Mhm.
technical skills
Mhm.
than maybe you were used to?
For me, I saw that a lot of companies were data driven. It was
Mm.
becoming the talk. People were talking about data visualization tools. And a friend of mine came to the house, and he was like, why don't you learn SQL? Because I was busy, reading one of my nursing books. He was like, and he was like, look, I think you're going to
So why did he say that? Were you looking miserable while reading? He wanted to deliver you from your means. Like, no,
maybe
you know what? Maybe
maybe
that's not the path.
he said, look, I see you, and I think you're going to find data, working with data exciting. And I was like, okay. So he had a friend who teaches a course on SQL. So he paid for me to attend the class. So I attended the class. Then after that, I moved to YouTube, to Udemy, to start learning some other things. So that was how I actually, even now I'm still learning. Sometimes I'm like, oh, okay, so this was it. This was that.
Hmm.
I was looking at. So the first time it might look as if it's a lot, but it's not. The more you practice, the better you become. Practice makes progress, as I'll say.
Beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful. Wow, that's exciting. Now, when you made that change and transition, or when
hmm
you went from being, uh, um, you're always going to be a mom, but
hmm
a mom who had more of her time at
Yeah.
home with the kids and all that, which was actually recovering your time from when your kids
Yeah.
were younger and you couldn't do that in the UK and all. And then you were on a career break and then you started work. How was that on the home front, and how can women who go through transitions like that, how
Yeah.
can they cope and kind of make it all work, because all of a sudden there's one big ball that's thrown into the mix that they need to juggle. How can that be easier for them?
For them. First of all, to depend on on the reason why you're going on a career, on a career break. So if it's obviously if it's involuntary, like a layoff, that might be kind of different. Mine was also involuntary. I didn't want to
Mm,
go on a career break. I'll say be present.
yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I can rephrase the
Okay.
question. I'm talking about when you move from that break
To,
back to the workforce, and
mhm.
all of a sudden all the time you had to do things that you maybe wanted to do, like
Yeah.
your kids, you are there for the
Mhm.
kids, you are there for their programs, you have a little more time at home to do all the stuff we do at home, right? And now you are back at work, and it's such a sharp
Okay. Mhm.
change, a sharp learning curve. How can that be easier, or what can you do to help yourself adjust as quickly as possible? How hard was it for you as well?
For me, it was
Hard or how easy?
hard because the job I went into, they didn't know I was coming out of a career break. I said,
Ah,
because I volunteered, so I didn't like put it on my resume. Career break was not a thing then,
yeah.
so it was hard. I felt guilty. I felt as if I was betraying my kids, So I remember the first week I started work, when I got home, I took them all out to Chick-fil-A because I just felt so bad for leaving them at home. It took time for it to dawn on me, but I got support from my family, and luckily the role I was working gave me some was hybrid. So I worked from home, worked in the office. So that time at home, helped me to gather things all over again. But it was a big change, and the change came again when I had to start a career break again. so then getting back to the office again, but it was during COVID, so my role was fully remote the next time.
Next time.
So it's there are always going to be seasons in our lives, seasons of
Mhm.
change. We just have to find a way not we have to find a way not to identify with the season. We are not
Mm,
I'm a good mom. I'm a skilled worker. I have great abilities. That is who I am. So I tried not to identify with the different seasons. I just tried to grow through them, network with my friends, enjoy my family and be there for them, and practice self-care, you know, being taking care of myself. That's
mm.
really what I did
Let
all
me.
the times. Hmm.
Wow, thank you for that. I know that that's always helpful, and it's always helpful to know that you are not the only one going through
Yeah.
a
Hmm.
certain phase, or going through difficulties
Yeah.
when you are adjusting to a new phase. Because I think sometimes the 50% of the work is getting over that thing that tells you that there must be something wrong with you. Why is it so hard for you?
Yeah.
You know, to now hear that other
There's
people
something.
feel the same way too. So
Yeah.
you're only being human.
Hmm.
I think that really helps us to relax and then actually find a real solution
Yeah.
to the problem.
Hmm.
Yes, yeah, wow. Um, I have two questions for you. Let me ask the first one, which is kind of like, a follow-up question to the
Hmm.
previous one you answered. How hard was it for your kids to let go?
Um, I'll say
Not let go, but to adjust, let me say.
my my two older ones were are going to school already. So normally when they come back from school, they meet me at home. So it was different for them to come home to meet a sitter, you know, in the house. I had to have the conversation with them. Mommy's going back to work now, you know, so mommy won't be home when you come back from school. And my little one was just a baby. She wasn't even up to 2 years old, you know,
Mm.
then. So she just,
Wow.
it was as if I kind of felt, you know, leaving them in the morning. I just used to have all those moods, you know, going in the morning and I'll call my husband, can I say hello to them? I mean, it's like, you're just going, driving 30 minutes away and you'll be back today. But with time, my husband, you know, he had the flexibility of working from home and going into the office. So sometimes he just, you know, takes them to school, pick them up from school, be home for them. But
Mm,
the support is really needed. Having the
mm,
conversations with the kids, communicating with them. Mommy's not going to be home today when you come back from
mhm,
work. It's really helped. Mhm. But
mm,
you know, when I
mm.
was on a career break, I just wanted to get back into the workforce. Now I'm in the workforce. I'm like, I did.
Like I miss my kids. I miss
You
this. I
know,
miss
I'm like, oh, I need a break. Can I just have 2 weeks break? Because I'm now there's a public holiday on Monday. I'm so excited about just an extra
one
day,
day.
you know, but that's how it
Oh
is,
my,
you know.
yeah. Wow, wow. Amazing, amazing. So you mentioned the word support, and I know that you are somebody who you are very good at recognizing and building support systems for just for yourself and for your family, which is a great skill that I think we women should have,
Mhm.
especially women who have responsibilities in different spheres, right, in different spaces. Can you speak to that? What are practical ways that women can adopt to create the kind of support system they need,
Mhm.
no matter where they are at? Career break, no career break, new mother, new worker,
Mhm.
new wife, or whatever it is
Mhm.
you're going through. Speak to that, please.
First of all, you should be open to making new connections. You know, like
Mm.
if I had gone to my kids' school and just, you know, turned my face away at everyone trying to say
Yeah.
hello, I wouldn't have gotten the invite to join the multicultural committee. Because I actually made great friends there before we left
Mm.
Chicago. We used to the lady I met there, she took me to places I'd never been before, like places I didn't know existed. You know, all this
Mm.
library for the kids, water parks for the kids. So she just used to arrange all those things weekly. She'll pick me up and we'll go there. So it's being open to new connections, being able to connect with people, even in the
Mm.
workplace. It's say hello. You know, you're having a meeting with somebody, say hello to the person. You're talking with someone and the last time the person said, oh, you know, I was in the hospital with my mom. So the next time you meet the person, how is your mom doing? You know, that's you connect with them based on that before you move on to other
Mm.
conversations. And there are also other, you know, ways that you can get support together in your religious organization. There are groups of women there that can, you know, support you. Personally, I have a book club. I have a group of friends where we read together to support ourselves on a reading journey. I know another friend that has Toastmasters, so she gets
Mm.
support for her communication skills right there in Toastmasters. So there are group of people, and if you don't have one, you can create one. You can tell your friends, let's start a book club, you know, or let's go to somewhere together, you know, or let's have a self-care day together. And especially if you're a career break and you're trying to get back into the workforce, you should let people know that you're looking. I have two
Mm.
neighbors and they told me they are looking for work. So when I see roles around, I have people sending me roles, I forward it to them. Oh, what do you think about this role? But if no one knows you're looking, no one is going to refer you for a role or forward a role to you. So it's not something that you should hide. You know, reach out to your networks. I'm getting back to work soon. You know, I'm looking for a job. These are the skills I have. These are the kind of jobs I'm looking for. So let people
Mm.
know. Don't be shy about about it. And connect with people. That's really a way where you can get support. Give support and you get support.
Wow, beautiful, beautiful. Especially for we introverted
Yeah.
people, it's good to get all the tips we can get on how to break out of, you know, our shells, our molds, and reach out to people. I think sometimes we feel we're bothering people, you
Mhm.
know, and we
I
don't want
know.
to bother them. So I think we need to realize that people do want to help. But
Mhm.
what has your experience been? Have you had to, you know, chase people down and break down their resistance because they don't want to help you, and you've had to convince them, you know, be there for me, support me, give me information?
Well,
What has your experience with people been? Has that been the case, or you found the opposite to be the truth?
I just give them time. I give
Mm,
people time. I take one step forward. I let them take a step forward. I
yeah,
take another step. Till we get to a place where we're hugging. But
yeah,
if I see them taking one step back, I kind of take one step back
yeah.
too.
Yes,
So,
not
so
yet.
yeah, not yet, not yet. I give them time and I relate to people on different levels. So what I will say to one, I might not say to another, but I just find a
Mm,
way. People want to be loved. So
yeah,
anything you can say, a smile, a kind thought, it
mm,
goes a long way. No matter how introverted they are or you think they don't want to make friends, everyone has that thing on their inside
mm,
that they want to be loved. And
yeah,
so
mm,
just give it a go.
yeah. Well, I think your people skills are excellent, and
Thank you.
yeah, excellent. So, is this something um, you've honed over the years? Was it something you developed as a kid? I know you didn't just start
Hmm.
having people skills
Hmm.
during your career break, right? I know that. So, what do you think has helped your people skills over the years the most? What factors have helped yours? You know?
Thinking about it, I think in a way because I remember that I've always had a lot of friends, and I remember when growing up, my dad was doing his masters in University of Pittsburgh. I used to have this one friend that used to come to the house all the time, and everyone you'd be like, why are you the one always having friends coming over? Then when we moved back to Nigeria, when I was in college, I used to have a group of friends. They'll come to the house, we'll cook, we'll eat. And because my house was close to the college campus, so I used to bring a lot of friends home. So there was this time there was something happening in school, so they had to shut down the school. So I took everyone home. So we were like 20 of us spent the night.
How did your parents react
My
to
my
that?
dad was like, "What's happening here? What's happening here?" But it seems as if they kind of knew that okay, it's booky, and and the person I also got married to, he's outgoing, so he actually pastors a church. So after service, when we're living in the UK, friends used to come to the house. I'll cook, we all eat, we all have fun, And when we moved to Chicago, I'll say something that I've always had. Sometimes I wake up and say, I'm not going to talk to anyone today, but it can never happen. It never happens. I say I'm not going to tell anybody where we're going today. I'm not going to tell anybody any.
One way or the other.
When I start talking to someone and the person are like, oh, I'm on the career break. I'm like, oh, you're on the career break, and I just start talking about it, or I find another thing we can connect with. I just start talking
Mm,
about about it. So I'll say something that has always been in me, and but over the years I've kind of perfected it, over and over again,
mm,
finding different ways to connect with people, to communicate with them, and well, a lot of times it's simple ways like birthdays. If I find out it's someone's birthday today, I just add it to my phone. I add it to their details on my phone, so that way it pops up every year, and I just send them a message. They're
mm,
like, "Oh, how do you remember? How come you remembered?" And that's because I saved it on my phone. So most times I just write things down. Maybe someone says their mom is in the hospital, I call the next day, or
mm.
I take food to them, and and things like that. And I also have a lot of great people in my lives that do the same to me. So it makes it easier
Wow,
over the years. Mhm.
wow, amazing. Do you think that influenced your decision to go into human resources, or
I think
no,
it.
not really, no direct connection, or So,
I think it did because I worked in a management consulting firm when I was back home in Nigeria. So that was where it triggered. I love the, being able to talk to people, do the training. So that was what, because actually my degree was in food science and technology, so that was what made me to go ahead to do a master's degree in human resource management.
okay. Wow,
Mhm.
thank God, or else you'll be dealing with food today, and we wouldn't get all those all that value you had in the HR space. We wouldn't, benefit from them today. What do you think you enjoy the most about where you are at right now in your career journey?
I enjoy the people I work with. I
Mhm.
I think being on the career break, everything that has brought me up until this place has taught me to be present.
Mm,
In the past, I used to, I'm either thinking of the future, when is the next thing, when is the next thing, and forgetting to enjoy now where I
mm,
am. So I'm
mm,
learning to enjoy it,
mm,
build relationship, learn from people. I've learned a lot of skills in my career over the years, and even now I'm learning every day, being able to ask questions, um laugh at myself when I make mistakes and not feel bad, and growing my confidence every day. My
mm.
confidence have grown a lot, a lot,
Wow.
a lot, a lot. Normally I'll never do a video like this. I'm like, I didn't even like the sound of my own voice. So but
Imagine that
yeah,
and
so
see you on Instagram now, and oh my,
I've
that's
really
amazing.
stepped out of my comfort zone to like do
Mm,
the things I've always desired to do. Because when is the best time if not now? When do I want to,
mm,
every year I'm growing older. I'm like, okay, do you want to do these things when you're 50 or 60? I'm like, just do it. Just do
just
it. So
do
I
it.
think my confidence have grown, and I've worked with very brilliant people over the years, and that has really
Mm,
helped me to really motivated me to learn more and to want to do more. Thankfully, I was talking to someone. I said, "Look, one of the greatest things when you are on your career break, I know you're trying to get a job, or you are praying to get a job." I said, "Pray about the kind of manager you're going to get. You're going to get to, yeah, because
that's
I've
very true.
I've heard some
Mm,
horror stories, but thankfully over the years I've had great managers
mm.
that, when my last manager in my other job was leaving, when she said she was leaving, I knew it was time for me to leave too.
Oh wow.
I actually left as after she left. I
Okay.
left after she left.
Yeah,
I've
question.
had the opportunity to meet and amazing people and work with them. So
Oh wow.
mhm.
Wow,
Yeah.
amazing. So you are also an author.
Hmm.
You wrote your first book
Yeah.
during a career break. Tell us about that book and tell us about your journey as an author, what you are hoping to put out next, so
Mhm.
that we can be on the lookout for
Mhm.
those amazing books to
Yeah.
come.
Hmm. I had this. I used to write down. I call it confessions, but it's also called affirmations. Affirmations for different aspect of life, like your finances, your job, your career. So I started documenting them. First of all, I started on Instagram. I started using it to encourage people. Maybe I'll just encourage them for the day and put an affirmation. So I'm like, okay, let me put this together as a book. And I actually published the book. That was 2019, and recently I've started documenting my career break stories also. So I'm
Mm.
hoping to do something with that too. But life is busy now.
Well, we are cheering you on and we are letting you know we look forward to that book. Hopefully that motivates you and
Life is busy now. So,
yeah, I
but
know that you're going to get it out and it's going to be a blessing.
yeah.
Thank you very much. Now, I mean, we're coming to a close. We're coming to the end of this
Mhm.
conversation. Are there any last minute words that you'd like to give? Any closing words? Anything that's on your heart that we've not covered in the conversation yet?
We've covered most of it, but I'll like to say again that if you're on a career break is just a break. It's a pause. It's not the whole of your life. You know, you will get through this. You know, get the right support from people. Find a returnship program around you. What you're doing right now is valuable. Whatever you're doing now, even though you're raising kids right now, you're still building your communication skills. It's valuable and it's transferable. So just get someone to work your resume, or you write your resume on your own and start applying. Don't be discouraged. Everything will be okay. It will. Mhm.
Thank you so much. You know, I off and on, I think of how vast and varied the opportunities to minister to people are. And there are certain things you don't even consider until somebody starts to do it. And you're like, oh, really? Are there so many people in that category that, you could actually encourage them? And when you started talking about career breaks, it opened my eyes to the fact that
Yeah.
there are people who do, I had a career break many years ago myself, and you know, I went through it, went back to the
Of
workforce,
course.
but I never really sat down to consider that, you know what,
Mhm.
this is an area where people
Yeah.
might need encouragement. So I want to thank you again
Thank you.
for taking the time to repurpose your story and make it a source of encouragement to people. And not just that, for all the research you do to help people to see that, well, a career break is not a strange occurrence.
Mhm.
It's not an unusual occurrence, and it's not a definition of who
Yeah.
you are. It's
Mhm.
something you're going through. So, on behalf of everyone that's been blessed by all the things you do and you put out, and those that are yet to meet you, that will meet you, hear your words, hear what you have to say, and read your book. On behalf of all those people, I want to say thank you. And I want to thank you again for being on Career Journeys and sharing your very, very inspiring story. I
Thank
hope
you.
that I can have you again sometime soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.